Hey, how are you? Hopefully, all are doing well, whoever you are. Orby report for this week. Had a couple encounters that were just really good PvP. Um, so, I've been working on the missions for Firewalker Base on Operation Ignition. And Firewalker Base is 3 jumps from Jita, so it's very active. There's a lot of folks, passing through. But not a lot of folks stick around. There's 3 or 4 regulars in the system, um, and one in particular that likes to visit at around the same time that I do my experiments. I'm testing to see like what kinds of ships can handle the missions most efficiently. Um, and like T4s, T5s, nobody really looks at those. They want as much ISK as possible. They don't think about, you know, challenging themselves or playing for the gameplay so much as number go up. With this individual, I don't know if I talked about in the last Orby report. They had a tackle that came in at 53, 54 kilometers, which, wow, like that's some serious tackle right there. Long points to the front. There's a slasher interceptor, just a base interceptor, which good, efficient. Not using a slasher too, especially to pin down a rifter. I was testing a rifter in the T4 Adams just to see like the timing, the pace, how much damage DPS I could put down, which for a rifter is nothing. But I want it to be accessible for everybody. The missions that I create, the stories that I'm hoping to tell in Operation Ignition. Anyway, tackled 50 kilometers, my little rifter, and there's nothing I could do at that point. So he killed the rifter. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And I managed to pot out back to base. I couldn't touch him. Rifter doesn't have nearly as much range as that. There's nothing that I have in my arsenal that had that much range, I thought. After the initial tackle, I went and grabbed my bellicose. I've got a bellicose tuned for killing frigates and small craft, especially for tearing through T4s. It's really good. The reason I chose the Bellicose 2, or like the regular Bellicose, is because it's free to play accessible, but Omega only for the bonuses, right? So it's a really good platform for testing like baseline capabilities. And with the rapid fire missiles on it, it was really effective at killing little squirts. I knew there wasn't really anything I could do against the slasher, but I wanted to see like what would happen if he would come in close and actually engage with something that was tuned for the fight, or if he had friends. And turns out he had friends, and boy howdy did he have friends. The ship that showed up was a Brutix, and I don't want to share names, but it was, I don't know if he's still making content, and I'm not sure if it was actually his account or if it was someone imitating him, but it was an old YouTuber who showed up, and like the Brutix couldn't keep up. My Bellicose managed to run off. The tackle kept me pinned to the grid. There was nothing I could do against that slasher, but the Brutix put up a good chase and then buggered off. And then an Orthrus came in, and there's nothing I could do against an Orthrus. It's a faction cruiser. It wasn't even a fight. It was a slaughter, but it was fun. It was funny. Good use of the slasher. Didn't engage. It wasn't so much a fight as a sacrifice for content. So the Bellicose fell. This was a few days back. This morning I had another run-in. The name pops up in chat. I'm out there in a Hurricane prototype, because again, testing various levels. And I'd figured, okay, there's nothing I could really do. My Hurricane isn't fitted for the kind of range that I would need to actually pick this slasher off. And it's Sleipnir. I don't want to lose Sleipnir, especially after all the stories that I've come across with that battle cruiser in particular. So I aligned to base and slow boated, waiting for the Inti to drop in. Scepter dropped on grid, and I noticed it was on my face. It wasn't on the origin, and I'm not sure if this is completely accurate, but it was enough for me to bugger off. I hit the autopilot like as soon as I saw him coming. Oh, that's very close. Land right next to me, and he didn't have enough time to lock me down. But I came back out in Rowdy Rosie the Rifter. Not the first Rifter. The first Rifter that I lost was a test ship. Rowdy Rosie is my favorite rifter. I've got the Will of Steel Nano on her, and it's the stupidest thing. Like, I have the strongest version of the weakest ship in the game. There's no one that's pouring as much into their rifters as I have been. Like, it's silly to be first place in something. Like, it's like being the tallest little person or midget or whatever. I don't know what they're comfortable with or what is appropriate. It's like being the front runner at the Special Olympics. I love that thing. Anyway, so I brought Rosie out, and the slasher can haul. It can haul. I'm thinking like 4 to 5 kilometers per second, whereas Rosie can only go up to 3,000 and change. So I thought like a good tickle fight. I jumped in at 100 off of the base proper, aligned to Firewalker, turned and burned towards Firewalker, and like just cooked. Just cruised. I wanted to see how long it took for the slasher to land on me, and especially to see if it landed on my face. The further away from center I got, easier was to determine. Didn't land on my face. The slasher landed at origin and then hauled tail out to me. Now, all the while, this is in the middle of a T4 base, and there was one frigate left on the base, and it had maybe half of his HP left. I think I got into hull on that frigate, which, I was just tickling. But the slasher hauled out. I knew its range of tackle was 50 kilometers. I knew that was a danger zone. I didn't even get anywhere near that. I bailed at, I think, 200 kilometers off, but he was cooking. He was quick. So I brought Rosie home, parked her, grabbed just a generic Talwar that I use for testing destroyers. Small torps, nothing I could do to actually engage, like with 50 kilometers. There's nothing that I have. Even a Talwar sniper with Omega and with sniper mode can only barely tickle, I think, 60 kilometers on the outside, and that's like fully spec'd. Used to be 80. It used to be really good. Anyway, so I land back on grid in my little Talwar. I was jumping back and forth between a condensed space and the base itself, because I didn't want him to give chase. I wanted to have the appearance of having a safe without having a safe. Rosie, while I was on grid with her, I had her set up a safe too, so I could play back and forth. Anyway, I land at center. I kill the last frigate because I wanted to spawn the next wave. Next wave spawns, the slasher stays at 50 kilometers, goes into a 50k orbit, and I'm stuck there with my Talwar. Let's see what happens. Let's see what drops. I will happily throw away a couple million ISK just to see some big fancies. Not a Orthrus, and not a Brutix, and not the same account name as the YouTuber. The old YouTuber. I don't know if he still makes content. I hope he does. I heard Gromeyer's going away, which really sucks because he does great content, and I hope he takes it as an opportunity to just go play without tension, because it's a really good game when you're not treating it like a job. But I don't think he was doing that. I'm gonna miss him, whatever the case. I'm glad he's keeping his Discord open, but that kind of just leaves Rambo and Juby and just a bunch of other like sporadic folks, which cool, a good crowd. I miss the big names. Anyway, ramble. Not an Orthrus, not a Brutix, a Marzio. It's a me, Marzio. Another Marzio drops. Big old battleship against my dinky little Talwar. Not even a fight. He could delete me. But he lands at origin, and I'd start orbiting him, I have a little afterburner on that thing, so I'm not cooking. I'm not going super fast. My signal, he should have been able to, even if he didn't have webs, he probably could have popped me. This is the struggle with destroyers, is you are vulnerable. You're balanced. You're the jack of all trades, but the master of none. Is more often better than the master of one, but oh boy howdy, they get deleted right quick. Anyway, this Marzio is fit for close range combat, which you don't really see that on Marzios very often, but he clears the rest of the base. And I'm having this friendly conversation with both, with one of the pilots. I don't remember which one of them was talking, but a friendly conversation with the tackle, I think, just keeping me pinned from 50 kilometers. and I'm orbiting the Marzio. The Marzio is plopping frigates and destroyers left and right. I'm helping out, killing frigates and destroyers, like picking them off. I didn't really get much damage on them. The Marzio deleted them before I got much more than a bite, but still enough to get like a little bit of actually, no, I don't think I got any of the bounties because we weren't fleeted up, which, not a big deal. You don't do bases for the bounties anyway. The whole point behind bases is consistent income of green loot. And loot in general, because it's free Rex, it's free scrap. So the Marzio clears out the base, and it's just me, the Marzio, and the Slasher. The Marzio leaves, the Slasher hangs around, we have this decision point, and the Slasher lets me go, and bails. So it's me and all of the loot. It was about 25 million ISK worth of random bits and bobs, which, cool, onto the stockpile it goes. It was just a really good interaction. It was a great, like, fight. Not a fight necessarily, because it wasn't really a fight. I was gonna get slaughtered either way. It was a good game. Other than that, I've been just cranking out Venture 2 blueprints and writing missions. I'm really happy with how those are coming along. I like the structure of the decision tree that I've created, and I like the format. I literally just took an old army style op board and I'm filling in the details, which, army. I know army is joint flavored and joint is army flavored, and that's like how military operations go American side, but like there's a lot of superfluous stuff that I thankfully get to pull out and stuff gameplay into instead. Really good week. I'm about to go out, party downtown. Hopefully have a good time. Anyway, I hope you all have a good one. Thanks. Bye.